Hey everybody, my name is Cole from Dye to Disc, and I'm here to teach you how to dye your disc using hair dye. Now, before we jump into what you're going to need, remember we are looking for premium plastics. We're going to dye them in white, as in the disc has to be white. I can't English very well. So, very simple method. The hardest part about this is waiting. Trust me, that's the hardest. Now, let's talk about supplies. Big surprise. You're going to need hair dye. Dog is optional. Now, the other thing you're going to need, gloves. I keep saying it, and I'm clearly not good at listening to my own directions. If you watched my last video, I worked with some worm dip. This is after I took acetone to it twice. Thank God I'm working from home right now, because that's not going to go away for a while. Now, looking at the hair dye, you can tell I have a preference. I love this Joico color intensity. Also good is this Bedhead Color Trip. Chromasilk Vivids, I like the orange. The only other color I have from them is a light blue that doesn't work. Lots of the ones that you'll see are Ion Color Brilliance. Those are the standard go-to. I am lucky enough that my mother, love you mom, is a hairstylist. So I can get a good deal on some of these from the salon stores, which means I get to try out a little bit more and decide which ones I like. So right now I'm using mostly the Joico color intensities. Alright? Obviously, gonna need our disc. We are using this 750, I believe, D3. Let's just double check that, huh? So it's the 700G. You'll notice it's got this cool little pink spot, just where happened to get a different color in there, but when you look at it, it's a white disc, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. Especially since we are going to use some of my favorite color combinations. Just going to do red, blue, purple, and some pink. Nice and easy. Something I will say, stay away from the greens. They just don't come out well. You're going to want to stick to bright colors. And you can tell the dog's working hard in the background. Alright, very simple. We are going to take the dye, get above our ultimate bed, and just kind of plop some dye down randomly. Keep it a little spread out. Now, you have two options here. They're going to give you varying effects. The lighter you go with the dye, the color might be a little bit lighter, but you're going to get some really good, what we call pull veins. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we pull the disc up. So I'm going to grab another color and I'll kind of check in with you after every color I lay. Alright, so I just laid down my cobalt blue. That's what our base looks like right now. Alright, and I just laid down some red. So far we have pink, blue, and red. Kind of see them all laying down there. Next we're going to add some of this purple. So let's take a peek. Alright, here's our purple laid down. You're going to notice I don't really worry about not touching the colors. They're not going to mix. When you push down, they're all slightly different consistency, so they're just going to kind of fit around each other. You're not really going to have much mixing, especially with these colors. If you get some of the watery dyes, you might get some mixing, but I really haven't had much of an issue. Now I did take some of this Bedhead Magenta and kind of laid it in there. Can't really differentiate it very much from the red on the camera, but trust me, when it's on the disc, you'll see the difference. So now we are going to take the disc and really get the dye mixed in. So I'll check in with you in a sec. Alright, so the disc has been washed with soap and warm water, as always. Now we're just going to take it, and I like to roll it on the edges first, because the edges are very hard to get dye onto. Especially on these drivers. You know, if you're using a putter, you're not going to notice it as much. Now we're just going to kind of push down a little bit. You don't want to push down too hard. That's going to cause the dye to really separate, and you're going to have white spots. And you'll see I got some purple on my glove, so that means there's some on the bottom of the disc. Fortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes. Now, I think I've got it set to how I like. I'm just going to give it a quick twist to blend those a little bit more. And we'll pull up nice and slow. Actually, I'm going to do it from over here because I believe this is the bottom. Pull nice and slow. See, those are what we're talking about for pull veins. Now I've got some white spots that I want to touch up. So I'm going to set this down. Yeah, see? Causing issues trying to do everything one-handed. Good job. So I've got it set down. Now, just to kind of take care of some of the blank spots, I'm just going to get some of that globbed onto my finger and just kind of press down on it. You want to do this as little as possible. It doesn't look the best, but if it's in small patches here and there, you can usually blend it pretty well. Now we're just gonna keep it rolling over here. Alright, I want to touch up in here a little bit too, right? Now keep in mind, that pattern is going to come through on my dye, so do want to try to make it look as organic as possible. Really best way to do that is to kind of overload the dye. Get more on there than you actually need. Then it's just going to look like a color spot versus finger tapping. Alright, so now you'll see, wow, we still have a lot of leftover dye, but we have that blank spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second disc, and this is where you're really going to get some color blending. I'm going to add a touch more colors here and there, and then I'm going to set the second disc on top, so you guys are really getting a nice little 2-for-1 here. Alright, you'll see I've added a couple spots, you know, some purple, some blue here and there. That's going to help me get some more depth of color. Now, I also have this Discmania PD Freak that I have kicking around. And I figure, you know what? I think this color scheme will look pretty good on this disc, so let's give her the dunk. Now I'm just going to do the same thing that we did with the last one. Gonna need to use both hands, unfortunately, so I'll check in with you when I pull it. Alright, so this is what we've got so far. You'll notice this was the second pull. Since we had less dye, it didn't clump together quite as much, and that's how we got some of the tighter pull veins. Here, a little bit thicker, didn't get as much. However, we were a little sloppy here. Clean that up just a little bit, but, you know, trying to get drivers down on this style is not the easiest. So you oftentimes will have a little ring around that section where you're trying to get the edge of the flight plate dyed. So now these are going to sit a whopping 48 hours. Yes, that's why I said you have to be very patient. So 48 hours to really let this sink in. Sometimes you can pull it after 24, but I guarantee you're going to like the results if you wait for 48 hours. Alright, so this video will go up probably the day after my other video does. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll check back on these in 48 hours. Alright guys, let's go ahead and rinse both of these off. I try to do this so that you guys can see it, so you see I'm not changing anything, that these are the outcomes that we got. But I might have to turn this off and just show you the finished product. Alright, so there you go. We got both of them rinsed off. See, this is the one with the thinner pull lines. Those came through. Thicker ones probably could have dried a little bit longer and been okay. But all in all, not bad. So, easiest dye method, however, also takes the most patience. Alright, so to recap, you're going to want to use premium plastic discs, Star, ESP, anything like that. And then for dyes, you're going to want to use semi-permanent hair dyes. Showed you a couple brands, told you about a couple others, but really there are tons of brands that you can use. Most will work. However, if you want to stick to what ones will work, Ion Color Brilliance and the Joico all work very well. Other than that, you really just have to let it set for 24 to 48 hours, depending on how thick the dye is on the disc. The thicker it is on the disc, the longer you let it sit. I let both mine sit for 48 hours, even though one of them had thinner. It doesn't really hurt it too much to stay on there for longer. The thinner your dye is on your ultimate disc, the thinner the pull lines are going to be, kind of the more effect it's going to have, versus the thicker, it's just going to have those big pull lines. So, that's all I have for you guys. Until next time, thank you.